Police say they've identified the man responsible for killing 24-year-old Rita Curran in July of 1971.
Imagine a story that's been hidden in the shadows for decades, waiting to be brought to light. That's what we're about to explore. Meet Rita Curran, a young woman whose life took a tragic turn, leaving behind unanswered questions for years. But now, get ready for a journey filled with surprising twists as we uncover the truth about what happened to Rita. Rita, fresh out of her parents' nest, was starting a new chapter of her life in a quaint town called Burlington, Vermont. Apartment on Brooks Avenue, alongside two strangers who were her roommates by chance. Rita stumbled upon an ad in the Burlington Free Press, calling for a summer roommate, and it felt like the perfect opportunity. But who was this enigmatic young woman? By day, she was a dedicated second-grade teacher at Milton Elementary School, diligently pursuing graduate courses. She was also working as a maid at the South Burlington Colonial Motor Inn. What made Rita truly intriguing was her transformation from a shy, introverted soul to a member of a local barbershop quartet. Yes, she had recently taken a leap of faith into the world of music, practicing her melodies until the late hours. On the fateful night of July 19, 1971, Rita's voice was in tune with her quartet until 10 p.m. She returned home, unaware of what was about to happen to her. Shortly after, her roommates departed for a late-night meal with one of their boyfriends, a man named Paul Robinson. As the early morning hours of July 20th crept in, the Burlington police received a distressing message from Rita's roommate. What had she found upon her return? Rita's lifeless body lay in their shared bedroom, a scene that would send a chill down anyone's spine. The police arrived, confronting a grim and perplexing sight. Rita Curran had suffered a brutal fate. She had been subjected to a vicious beating, assault, and ultimately, a tragic asphyxiation. Despite the fierce signs of resistance displayed by Rita, there was no evidence of forced entry. Rita, in the midst of her nightly routine, with curlers still adorning her hair. Her purse, containing cash and all her personal documents, lay scattered on the floor behind the door. It was clear to investigators that this was not a mere robbery gone wrong. Paul Robinson, who was dating one of Rita's roommates and had been staying in their apartment that fateful night, provided his account. They had invited Rita to join them, but she had declined. Little did they know that within those 2 or 3 hours of their absence, a horrifying tragedy would unfold. Robinson vividly remembers the blood-curdling screams of Rita's roommate upon discovering her lifeless body. The impact of Rita's brutal murder was so deep that it led to an unusual response. Deadbolt locks started disappearing from store shelves. This was an extreme measure taken by a frightened community in response to the overwhelming fear that had gripped them. But the most haunting detail of all was the revelation by Detective Shanette that Rita had received mysterious phone calls before her untimely demise. Phone calls filled with eerie silence and heavy breathing, sending shivers down the spine of anyone who answered them. Among the items collected from the scene, a lone cigarette butt, discovered near her lifeless arm, stood out as a potential clue. Remarkably, the two roommates and Paul Robinson, the boyfriend, were eventually ruled out as suspects, leaving the investigation shrouded in even greater mystery. However, intriguingly, among those questioned were a couple residing 2 floors above Rita's apartment. The husband, William DeRuse, had a criminal record. He claimed to have been with his wife the entire night, hearing or seeing nothing untoward, an account corroborated by his wife, Michelle DeRuse. Despite the intense public scrutiny and decades of relentless effort by the Burlington Police Department, no one was ever charged or arrested in connection with the crime. Then, in 2014, the Burlington Police Department sent all the collected evidence, including the cigarette butt, for DNA analysis. The DNA tests yielded a shocking result. They generated a DNA profile from the cigarette, potentially revealing the identity of the person who had smoked it. However, the twist in the tale was that this DNA didn't match any profiles within the extensive databases maintained by law enforcement agencies across the country. It was an unexpected dead end. As the years rolled on, Rita Curran's case grew into a chilling relic of the past, ultimately becoming the oldest unsolved case on the Burlington Police Department's books by 2019. Rita's sister, Mary Campbell, found herself still grappling with shock and despair over the unresolved crime. She stated,
"This is our case, and this is our sister, and she's always with us."
"We don't know any more today, 50 years later, than we knew the day of the crime." However, they firmly believed that Rita's demise didn't occur in isolation. Mary Campbell further added, "Somebody somewhere knows what happened that night on July 19, 1971, and they will take that information to their grave. May God have mercy on their soul." In 2019, a new team of detectives took up the responsibility. Detective Lieutenant James Traby. He assembled a team of detectives and expert technicians to re-examine the case. This renewed effort involved retesting evidence and subjecting the cigarette butt to DNA analysis using genetic genealogy, a method combining genetic testing with traditional genealogical techniques to trace familial relationships. The breakthrough came when an external genetic genealogy expert pinpointed strong connections between the cigarette's DNA and relatives of William DeRose. Investigators, fueled by this finding, tracked down a living half-brother of DeRose, who willingly provided a DNA sample. The results only solidified the connection, confirming that the cigarette's DNA indeed belonged to DeRose. But that wasn't the end of the findings. The DNA found on Rita's torn housecoat matched the DNA on the cigarette butt, sealing the connection. After nearly half a century, the pieces of the puzzle finally fell into place, offering hope that justice might be served for Rita Curran and her grieving family. DeRose's life journey took a twist when, at some point, he relocated to Thailand and embraced a radically different path as a Buddhist monk. During renewed questioning by the police, DeRose's ex-wife finally revealed the truth. She confessed that she had lied when she initially claimed that her husband had been with her all night in their apartment, providing him with an alibi. The detective who interviewed her believed she wasn't aware of her husband's involvement in Rita's death. Instead, she appeared to be protecting him due to their newfound marriage and deep affection, coupled with his checkered past. It was established that DeRose, known to be a smoker, had engaged in a heated argument with his wife on the evening of July 20th and had gone out for a walk to cool off. The following day, he instructed his wife, who he had married just 2 weeks prior, to mislead the police by stating that he had never left their apartment. He feared that his previous criminal record would unfairly cast suspicion upon him. The investigation also led detectives to a woman in San Francisco who had married DeRose in 1974. She provided a glimpse into his temperament, recounting instances of sudden, violent outbursts. On one occasion, during dinner, he began strangling her without apparent reason. Tragically, William DeRose's own life came to an end in 1983, as he passed away in a San Francisco hotel due to a drug overdose at the age of 46. Finally, on February 21, 2023, investigators shared they had positively identified William DeRose as the man responsible for taking the life of Rita Curran, bringing to a close a nearly 5-decade-old case. Tragically, Rita's parents passed away without ever discovering the identity of the person who had taken their daughter's life. The weight of their sorrow was borne by Rita's surviving siblings, who were present at the news conference held at the Burlington Police Headquarters. Detective Lieutenant James Trabe, the leader of the Detective Services Bureau at the Burlington Police, delivered the bittersweet news. He affirmed their confidence in William DeRose being responsible for Rita's fate. However, DeRose's passing, marked by a tragic drug overdose in a hotel room, meant that he would never be held accountable for his actions.
Today, William DeRose would be 83, but there is not a cop in this building who would not happily put handcuffs on him. Instead, he died in San Francisco in 1986, 15 years after murdering Rita.
At this pivotal moment, retired U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy, who had been the Chittenden County State's attorney at the time of Rita's tragic demise and had even visited the crime scene that fateful night, attended the news conference.
I've been to a lot of crime scenes, I've been to a lot of war zones and seen terrible things, but this one has made in my memory.
He candidly shared, I must admit, after 20 and 30, 40 years, I figured it never would. It was a terrible thing. While the shadows of the past still linger, investigators are now exploring the possibility that William DeRoos might have been involved in other crimes as well. This case is a reminder that justice, though delayed, can eventually prevail. That concludes today's video. If you liked our content, consider subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching.